Hey, welcome back to The Process. Today I wanted to talk about the gaps, the emptiness when you let go of something, when you say no to something or you change something in your life, and there's a gap where you don't know what's going to come in or out. This topic came up because one of my very good friends was contemplating breaking up with her boyfriend, and I caught myself giving advice about her fears and how the fear of the emptiness is predominantly what was stopping her because the relationship wasn't fulfilling her anymore. And when I applied this same logic to my own life, I kind of took an inventory on all the things that were in my life as placeholders, just taking up space because I was too afraid of the emptiness. The more that I reflected on this, I kind of realized the joy of the emptiness. We're not used to emptiness. We're not used to silence. As a musician, most of my favorite parts in tracks is the moment when the beat just drops for a second. It's just silence and then it all comes back in. And even in meditation, it's not about stopping your thinking. It's about finding the gaps in your thought and residing in there for as long as you can. So essentially the gold is in the gaps, because there's space there for new to manifest itself, for creativity to explore itself. When we've got these placeholders to fill up all the spaces and nooks and crannies of our life that we don't feel entirely comfortable with, we leave no space for anything new. And in turn, we hold ourselves in stagnancy out of fear. I've stayed in relationships for this reason. I've stayed in jobs. I've stayed in friendships. I've stayed in creative projects that I no longer felt passionate about. I know that for me, there's a lot of kind of narcissistic abuse that plays into my fear of saying no or letting go of something or someone, because I kind of gaslight myself into whether I'm making the right or wrong decision. That's a whole nother topic that I can explore in another video if you'd like. So let me know in the comments if narcissistic abuse is something you'd like to talk about with me. It's a whole topic. But trusting ourselves and having faith in life to work with us is essentially what it comes down to. Because we can't say yes to everything and we can't hold on to everything just because we're afraid of the silence. So one of my long-term yoga teachers says that the mat is a mirror. So however you move on the mat is how you move in the real world. And so I'm personally trying to bring more silence and stillness into my spiritual practice, where even if it's just for a minute or two, just to sit in silence and let me be just the way that I am and see what comes up. I think most of us are afraid of the silence because of maybe the pain we think may unfold from that. And just to avoid the possibility of that pain, we avoid the silence, we avoid the stillness, we avoid the gaps. Even in case of my friend, and I've been guilty of this too, not breaking up with that partner because you're more afraid of the unfamiliar pain of losing them and being alone than the pain of being in the relationship and not having your needs met. So apply that to your life as you will. Is there something that you're holding on to because you're afraid of what it will feel like to lose that thing or not have that thing anymore, hurting you more than the pain of letting go? One of my most challenging examples of this is I was a part of a music label last year and I just didn't feel supported or treated well at the end of the deal, to be completely transparent with you guys. So I made the decision to leave. This was really scary for me. Being an independent artist is not as easy as having a label behind you, but I chose my mental health, I chose my creative integrity by breaking up with my old music label. There was a big gap here between when I broke up with them and where I am now. And because it was a bit gaslighty and narcissistic in that situation too, I doubted my decision. I felt pain, I felt uncomfortable. But I wasn't as in pain and as uncomfortable as I was when I was slaving myself for a brand that didn't align with my values and the way that I work and the way that I move in the industry. Since then, I've met so many beautiful people that I'm not sure I would have met otherwise. And even if I did meet them, it would have been under my old label. So I would have been represented by something else that isn't authentically me. That's the thing. If I didn't have that space, if I didn't have that pain, that initial breakup, I wouldn't be where I am today. Another example of that is when I broke up with my ex-boyfriend of 5 years. That was such a big decision to make, and I feel both of us were ready to break up maybe 2 years before that, but both of us were too afraid of the gap. We were too afraid of the unknown, of the emptiness. Once I made that decision, I feel like my whole life opened up. And I'm not saying that once you create that gap, everything is peachy, keen, rosy rainbows. I'm just saying that there's space for growth, if that's what you're looking for. If you feel stagnant, you feel unhappy, then you need to make space for that thing. And you can't fill that space straight away. I mean, sometimes yes, but most of the time you just need a minute to be empty. You can't move into an already furnished house if you want to furnish it yourself. It needs to be empty. You need to walk into the apartment. You need to see the skeleton. You need to see what you're working with. What can you give? What can you take? What do you want? One of my favorite metaphors for this, because I love hosting them, is dinner parties. Imagine you're at the head of this beautiful, long, majestic table, and so that you don't have any spare seats, you've just invited a bunch of friends, and randoms, and people you don't really get along with. And then you all sit for dinner, the doorbell rings, and it's your idol, it's the person you look up to, they're at your door, they're wanting a seat, but there is no spots for them at the table. Leave some empty seats. You never know who's going to come along. You never know what opportunities are going to come along. And anytime you feel uncomfortable by that emptiness, if you can, shift it to excitement. Shift it to excitement of the unknown. You're not in danger. You're not in the middle of the ocean like, what's underneath me? Is it a shark? Kind of unknown. It's just some space for you to grow, some space for you to welcome in whoever rocks up at your door, whatever opportunity rocks up at your door. You're leaving that space. That really helps to ground me. Obviously, self-doubt and insecurity, that all plays into it. But I hope that helps you guys. I hope it gives you the strength and confidence and courage to say no to things that no longer serve you, with the knowing that things come in. And if it's something like a relationship or a career deal, I totally get that it can be super difficult to let go of those things. And the pain of that doesn't go away, but you get through it and you come out of the other side. Wishing you guys all the best. Let me know if you have any gap stories, any times that you have left a gap in your life and something beautiful has manifested. The universe requires space to be creative. We require space to be creative, so give yourself that space. If you want to support my work, please like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!